Okay, it's Thursday, February 23rd. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with an outside bar, a 3-bar. We took out the high of the previous day. We took out the low of the previous day. That's broadening action on a kind of a daily time frame, and we ended up closing kind of in the upper end of the range, which looks like a hammer bar, which in many cases, could mean you are reversing back to the upside. But at the moment, we still have a weekly bar that, with one day to go in the week, is still red. We're still not, taking out the open of that week. So really, it's going to be important tomorrow to see what happens on the daily chart and how that influences how the weekly bar closes. That'll give us a better sign as to, are we possibly failing this inside bar breakout, these 2 bars to the downside, and then going to reverse going into next week, or are we just kind of going to hold in here and then look to continue to follow through? Again, the high probability coming, after this breakout of that weekly chart was after like 4 or 5 days down. You wanted to see a little bit of a rally or a pullback in the day in order to get short again, and we kind of had that this morning. We had like a failure bar right out of the gates, and it ended up being a good downside trade, which I'll get to in a minute. And then we broadened out. We hit our targets. I shot a midday video showing how we reached all the targets at that point, and at that point, that's all price was expected to do today. And then in terms of the fact that it closed a little bit strong, it's tough to say at that point now, are we going to continue lower or not, given that we had our down move, we had our rally, we try to go down again, and then we bounced pretty strongly from there. Although, as we look at the 15-minute chart, I don't really know what this means going forward. It could just be more of a technical move. You could see here at the moment, we've come down a lot and we're just kind of going sideways. And typical price discovery, this is the key to the strat, and the key to what you really have to kind of understand with price action is that it in many cases, it makes higher, lower lows, higher highs, lower low, higher high, lower low, high. This is classic broadening action. And at some point, the broadening action on this time frame will expand to a broadening action on a larger time frame. So we don't really know what's happening here yet, other than it's a little bit of a choppy area at the moment. So tomorrow we'll really judge how price closes, how this week ends up. If we head a little lower, we might end up more towards the red side of the bar, which would mean a likely follow through lower. If we end up kind of either going up pretty strong, maybe we do get a hammer reversal bar and we kind of have the midpoint of this tail as our support, and we see if we follow through higher and back into this range, and maybe this breakout was just a false breakout all week. So tomorrow we'll tell the story there. In terms of today, it was pretty clear trading in terms of, at least at the beginning of the day, going short, and then you had a nice directional move. Once you took out the midpoint of the prior day, you reached your target of an outside bar, and I kind of discussed that. And then I shot a midday video kind of showing how at that point you reached your target. So to me, for my trading, I just look for an intraday, a primary move to start the session, and then maybe a secondary move. That's generally what I'm looking for all day long. And today, I didn't think it was this high probability to get that secondary move to take out the lows of the day, given that you already reached the target on a higher time frame. So I like my secondary moves to not only, target the low or high of a day, but also have some bigger picture targets at the same time, so that in this case, you had a little conflict there. And I didn't think that this was a good trade. And then once it started heading up, there was no actionable signal for any kind of a secondary move. So all this in here really, for my methodology, meant nothing. And again, it's not surprising. I mean, it's not expected that you were going to come all the way up, but it's also not surprising. We had that the other day here where we went up all day. We failed on our secondary move, and that was it for the day. And then it ended up crashing all the way towards the lows of the day. Again, did I expect that at the time? No, but it's not surprising. So price action does what it does, and you just have to kind of, go with it relative to your trading plan. So anyway, we end up today with a bit of a hammer bar. We'll see if we follow through. If we go up tomorrow, I want to see if we take out the open of the week to really turn this week green, or to kind of give us a good looking hammer bar. But if not, then we might, continue lower, and it might just be an inside choppy day of nothing. We have a 3-bar here. There's no actionable signal on the daily chart at this point. So if we'll see where the opening range is. We'll see where opening price takes us, and kind of know that if we go up, it's not really an actionable signal. And if we go down, that's more in line with the trend in place. And we'll just see, but you have kind of, you got to really get through this whole area now on the downside. So it's going to be more how this week ends tomorrow. and that'll give us a better indication, I think, of what happens going into, the end of the month here. And again, the monthly chart's still red. It still looks like we're closing weak. It still looks like if we close weak, we're going to probably try to follow through a little lower into March. But for now, we just got a little choppiness, given the, just given the nature of the market, which has a lot of price discovery, both up and down at certain times. And that's certainly what's happening now at the moment. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.